Hi, everybody. Welcome to the music instruction webinar for Formative. It is March 30th, 2022. Let's get rolling here. A little bit about me. My name is Sarah Cowley. I've been with Formative for a bit over a year. Before that, I was a secondary band director for 8 years. I've taught 6th through 12th grade, a little bit of 5th grade as well. I still conduct out there, and I also run a jazz band for grown-ups, right? No longer in the K-12 realm. I have twin girls. They are almost 4 years old, so I'm very busy, and I'm based in South Florida. Grew up in Miami, and I live in Fort Lauderdale now. That's a little bit about me. I am so excited for this webinar because I get to kind of bring, both of my worlds together and talk about lots of great music stuff. And throughout my years teaching, whenever a new edtech platform was brought to us, I was just so used to saying, oh, well, it doesn't apply to music, or, you can't use it for music, which is very true for a lot of platforms. But I can be completely honest with you and say I would not be sitting here in this job if Formative was not a great tool for the arts as well. I just wouldn't be here. All right. So I'm really excited for today. Formative can be used in your entire music curriculum, okay? Will I cover everything today in 30 minutes? No, it's not possible, okay? But just be aware it can be used for any age, any specialty, any subject area in terms of music. And today we're going to talk about checking in on your students' knowledge when it comes to literacy, vocabulary, music theory, performance, of course, and listening. And just in general, how to save time and monitor your student progress better, right? The idea here is to save time. And when we talk about music and we talk about assessment, it can get a little tricky, right? Because especially if you're dealing with the traditional ensemble setting, right? You got a room full of kids and you normally, right, have to go down the line, okay, play your part, and it takes forever. Whereas maybe they could do it at home. Right. And then you say to yourself, oh, but they could do it over and over again. Yeah, that's true. But then they're practicing, right? So it's two birds, one stone kind of thing. You're getting them to practice. You're saving the time in your classroom. And then you have that recording documented. Whereas if you're just having them play in class, you're probably not recording it, right? And if you are, you're probably clogging up your hard drive or your Google Drive or whatever. So just things to think about of how you could still do the same things, but just streamline it a little better. And then also keep some kind of record of it, watch progress as they go. So lots of things to kind of mill around. So I highly encourage you to work alongside with me while we're talking here. I feel like that's the best way to, to get in and get hands-on. So go to formative.com, go ahead and log in, right? Login button's at the top right. And depending on the kind of account you have, if you already have a partnership with us, if you have a free account, whatever it may be, go ahead and log in how you would normally log in, whether it's with the Google single sign-on or Clever, Microsoft, or if you have a username and password. Okay, we'll talk about embedding in just a second, and of course, where to go if you have help. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open up a brand new window here in Formative. And we're going to start in the music literacy and vocab realm. And this is assuming that you have a certain grasp on formative basics in terms of like how to make a new one and like what the general question types are and all that good stuff. If you don't have a good handle on that, there's lots of really good webinars and also even just like really short videos that can take you through that stuff. Okay. So I'm going to make a new formative here. And I'm just going to give it whatever title here in the corner. We'll just keep it simple here. Music webinar 330. It auto saves. Everything formative auto saves. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm going to click on this bouncy plus sign and I'm going to go to show your work. Think about when you're assessing your students on their vocabulary, on their literacy, right? So this is more thinking about K-5 or even maybe grade 6 and 7 when you're talking about beginning ensemble classes where you're, when they need to learn how to read music, also learn about the different vocal ranges and the different instrument families, like actual conceptual things that that you need to assess. So in this case, it's going to be note reading. So let's say the question is going to be circle an E on the staff. Okay, that's my question. So now I'm going to edit this background. And I could always leave this blank, right? If I want them to draw something like it's if I want them to draw the circle of fifths for music theory, this is a great blank space for them to do that, etc. But I'm going to have them circle a note on a staff, on an image that I already have elsewhere. So they're going to click on this image button on the side. I'm going to grab, in this case, from my Google Drive, but I could, hold up a sheet of music and just take a picture of it and use that as my image. That's kind of like impromptu, but just so you know, it can be that impromptu if you haven't, or if you haven't scanned it yet, right? You could just take a picture and it works, all right? But in this case, I'm going to pick from Google Drive. It's asking me for my login. And let's see here. It's just a series of notes. Perfect. And it's coming in, add image. I can click on it and make it big. And you could literally just take this from anywhere, like any kind of screenshot of just a series of notes, right? And so real simple here. If I click preview, I'm going to see how it looks for the student. It's nice and clean, a lot less, buttons and stuff than what we see. They would click on show your work, and then they have all these drawing tools available to them. So in this case, I want them to circle an E on the staff. They could do it by hand, by scribbling, like this, or they could even use the circle drawing tool they just have to click and drag. So it just depends, what they want to do. So that's one way. And again, you could put anything as the background. It could be an excerpt of music, and you could say circle all of the articulation markings, or draw in some dynamics, or write in the lyrics, or type in the lyrics of this piece if you want to assess whether or not they know their lyrics for their vocal assessments coming up, right? Just think about all the different times and all the different ways that you needed your students to mark up something or write something. Great way to assess that. They can also submit an image as well. So if you want to say, take a picture of your part, because you want to see if they have numbered their measures, or if they have circled the dynamics, or if they've circled the key change, or if they've circled the DS to go to the coda. Anything that you've told them to write down that you need to see evidence that they did it, they can take a photo with their webcam or their phone, right? Because all of this also works on their phone. And they could submit that as their response. So again, I said, can we cover everything? I can't possibly think of all the ways that this could be used. It's a lot, right? So just let your wheels turn, right? We're arts people. We're always thinking creatively. I think you're going to be amazed at how much this platform can do for you in the arts. It's kind of insane in a good way, right? Let's move on to another question type. If we're talking about vocabulary, so we mentioned articulation. So let's say you've taught them about tempo, dynamics, and articulation, and you want to assess that. A couple different question types I think would be really good for that sort of thing. Categorize is a question type that we've had for a long time, where you have like buckets, and then you would, drag and drop or sort all these other things that would fit into the bucket. So piano would go into one bucket, clarinet would go into another bucket, right? So you'd be sorting things. That's one way. We have a newer question type that's called match table grid that I want to show you because it's newer, right? So if you've been around a little while, you've seen the other stuff. So for example, let's say tempo and dynamics are going to be our two categories here. And then on the side, they have to correctly match things. So presto, let's do forte, piano, large. Okay. So then the student, let me go to preview. See, real easy. They just need to select the right place that it goes. Okay, and it can be super long, or you could just be that much. But then over here on the teacher side, you're going to go ahead and do it as well so that you have an answer key. All right, so now not only are you assessing this these topics, but it's also going to be auto-graded for you. If you want to allow partial credit, you can just toggle that on. And if you want them to also show their work, so how cool is this, right? You can have this part that's auto-graded. Then you can toggle on show your work. Then you can edit the background and put in an actual piece of music, right? Like a page from a piece of music, and say, circle all the tempo markings blue and circle all of the dynamics pink or purple, whatever, right? Because they can change the color, they can circle things, they can underline. So even if they guessed on the chart, they have to demonstrate on a piece of music that they know what they're talking about. All right. And you don't have to do that, right? But you have the option to toggle on show your work for every question. Pretty awesome. Another new question type is hotspot. Where is it? My eyes are deceiving me. Hotspot, here it is. And it involves an image as well. So I'm going to drag in, you can drag and drop an image in here. This is from my desktop. This is a page from a choral arrangement of the Dies Irae, Mozart. And so what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to click, right, with the selector on, let's see, let's do right here and there. And what I'm going to ask is, I'm going to ask the student to click all of the options that are in the tenor part. So select all of the tenor notes. And then I have to click the correct ones so that I have an answer key. So this would be an example of something that I would use in a beginner vocal class. Right? When you're showing them how to read this 4-part music, they're seeing these squares are the options. There's also a circle option that you could use. But see, all these spots are options for them to click. So it's kind of like a multiple choice question, but just completely reimagined, because instead of words as choices, you have spots on an actual document that they can choose from. So again, allow your mind to kind of explore what other ways that this would be useful. If you are teaching beginning band, right, you could put a diagram of a trumpet and click a bunch of spots and say, which one is the mouthpiece? And so on. Pretty cool stuff. All right, let's go into some theory stuff. How are we doing on time? Oof, I gotta hurry. See, I could talk about this stuff all day. Theory. Let's do multiple choice, right? Tried and true, multiple choice. And let's do, okay, see this little plus sign right here? Anywhere where you see this plus sign, you can add media. It's pretty cool. When I say media, I mean like literally anything. Like I could record myself. Pretty awesome for music, right? So I could record myself singing something and then they have to sing it back or play it back. I could be playing something and they could play it back, whatever, right? Use your imagination here. But in this case, I'm going to do an image. And this is from my Google Drive as well. It's going to be a short little cadence. And my question is going to be, identify the cadence from the choices below. Then show your work and complete a harmonic analysis. So my options for multiple choice are going to be plagal, perfect, authentic, half, and deceptive. I'm going to randomize the order. Why not? I'm also going to toggle on show your work, and I'm going to put this same cadence here, here in the show your work, so that they can complete their harmonic analysis. So now you're getting, again, twofold, right? You're getting a multiple choice question that is auto-graded, and then you're also seeing them harmonically analyze the excerpt. So I probably didn't have to put it twice, but that's okay. So you still have to answer the question, right? So this is a perfect authentic cadence. Then they're going to show their work and using these drawing symbols. So I'm going to be scribbling in this case. So we have, what do we have here? We have, okay. So we have a 164, is that? It's been a while. 5, 1. Right, so there's your harmonic analysis. And then you can move on with your life. And remember, anything with show your work that they submit, you can draw feedback on top of it. So I went to view responses. I went to this response, in this case, it's me pretending to be a student, right, in the preview. I go right here, I see what they did, draw feedback, and I could say, I'll choose a different color so that it's obvious what was mine and what was theirs. I can say, oh, yikes. You know, that wasn't right. Or I could type, try again, check your notes, or watch your key signature, or whatever your feedback is, right? And you hit the check mark. And then you see it, it's small down here. You click send. And now that student has received this exact thing. You can click on it to make it bigger. They received this exact image as the feedback. So again, just like you would mark up their work in class or their homework and give it back to them, we just did that, and it was so much faster, and there's a record of it. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. There's a record of it, so you can go back and say, oh my gosh, you know, this kid hasn't understood cadences since October or something, or hopefully that's not the case. And then you can, you know, of course, rate them as well with the slider. Okay, but this is good stuff. And if you're doing this during class as part of your lesson, which I highly encourage you, especially theory people, you can see what they're doing in real time. So if you need to interrupt with some feedback, you can do it in the moment when it counts. You don't want them to be practicing something incorrectly for 45 minutes, and then you won't even know it till the next day when they turn in their homework, if it were on like an actual sheet of paper. So something to think about. And for AP Music Theory, this is fantastic because you can go ahead and upload those audio files, and you can have them dictate right within the show your work. You put a blank staff and they can do their dictation. I mean, and again, it's all in one place. It's all in one place, and you can put it up on the screen, have it, and as a class, you can grade it. You can hide their names. Incredible, incredible stuff. Let's get to the performance piece, right? Because chances are that's what you're used to assessing, or, you know, it's, do your kids know their music? Okay, so here's what I'll do. This is going to be an audio response. You could probably guess, and you've probably been using that already. And let's do, or you know what, forget audio. Let's do video, right? We want to see them. Audio is great, but let's kick it up a notch and do a video response. And let's say perform the B flat, E flat, and A flat concert scales and arpeggios. Bonus, draw the circle of fifths in the show, your work box. So I'm going to toggle on show your work. I can draw a circle for them to make it easier or not. And then use a rubric, right? Because goodness, right? You want it to be very clear, very objective in what exactly you are assessing. Once you create a new rubric template, it'll stay there for you. So then it would be here in your list of rubrics that you could use. So you don't have to type it every time. That's a giant waste of time. And that's how it used to be, right? When this is a brand new feature, if you've been around a little while, you used to have to type it every time. That is no longer. So use your rubric, assess that video. You can include posture because it is a video, right? Posture, tone, quality, articulation, tempo, note accuracy, all the good stuff. I'm sure you have a really good rubric that you like to use. By all means, use that. And when you're giving that feedback, here it is, shoot. When you're giving that feedback for a student, down here, there's a little plus sign. Remember, anywhere you see that plus sign, you can add other types of media. So you can record yourself demonstrating the correct way to perform whatever it is that they need help on. So you could say, oh, actually, the rhythm in measure 2, you're playing it incorrectly. It's like this. And you can pull out your instrument, your voice, whatever, and go ahead and model it for them. And then they have a record of it. It's going to be always tied to this question, so they can go back and reference it. And then they can respond to you saying, okay, thanks. How about this? Is that better? And you can respond. It's a back and forth. It's really very, I don't even know, like, it's so cool because it's private too, right? So nobody else can see or hear any of this. So it's a really cool way for those kids who are terrified to perform by themselves in class. We all have those, right? Really cool way for them to genuinely show you what they're able to do without getting all freaked out in front of the class. I used to do that too. I used to have the kids play alone because that was really the only way to do it. But now, especially having been, at home and everything, why not use that time at home for the kids to chill, take a deep breath. And if they don't like the recording, they can just delete it and do it again, because that's practicing, right? So something to consider. You can send them a video back as well, an emoji, an image, any of these things you can send back to them as feedback, right? I want to show you embedding, okay? Embedding, you don't have to know how to code or any of that nonsense, right? But for example, if I wanted to embed a metronome right here, I could do that. So I'm just going to make some space right here. And I actually already have an embed code of a metronome. And I will share an article with you about embedding that explains how this all works. That's like another conversation. But I don't know anything about computers and coding and stuff. And this is very easy. So if that's you, then you're good. Okay. So I am going to embed a metronome here and add embed. And I will add to my instructions, I will say with the metronome at 120, perform your scales, okay? So now when the student's gonna be recording their video, I want them to have this metronome playing. So let me take you to the student preview. Now they don't have to go to the store and buy that little plastic thing that breaks after, use it 4 times. So here it is with the metronome at 120, perform your scales. So I'm going to click start. And that's just going to run. That's just going to keep going. Right? And they record their video. And you're going to hear that metronome going in the background, which of course it's going to help them to perform with the metronome. It's also going to make it very obvious if their tempo isn't steady, if it's not like already super obvious by itself, right? It's going to be a nice reference for you as you're listening, and you're getting students to practice with a metronome and go ahead and use it and change the tempos around and so on. Lots of other websites that you can embed as well, which I'm going to also show you very briefly, but there's I haven't found a good tuner yet that will work as an embed, but I'm always looking. There's also Chrome Music Lab, yeah, really fun. Interactive instruments, so piano and a drum machine, so they can record audio while playing a beat or singing along with a tune that they're playing on the piano. However you want to play around with that. Ear training you can also embed, great stuff as well, and technique. The drone player, if you want to talk about, can you play your instrument in tune, put on the drone, have them hold out an F concert, and you can hear them. Or if you want to, if while they're learning how to tune, you want to see, okay, can you bend the pitch? Make your pitch flat, then make it in tune, now make it sharp, and then bring it back. Record it. And then you can compare their progress throughout the year. I guarantee you, if that's something that you're doing in your classroom, which I'm sure you are, if you listen to them try to bend the pitch in October and then again in April, it's going to be such a difference. And the kids, that's so cool for the kids to hear their progress, because you're not going to go digging. Let's be real. You're not going to go digging through Google Drive or wherever you're having them send you recordings right now, or Dropbox. You're not going to go digging to compare. But if they're all informative and tagged to standards, right? All you have to do is then sort by that standard, and it's all going to come up together on the tracker, right? So if that's interesting to you, tagging standards and the tracker and tracking data over time, check out our help center and just type in tracker and standards, and you're going to see a lot of stuff come up. But just try and think of all the different possibilities now that you can really take, zoom out and take a big picture look at your students' progress on specific skills. If you tag those standards, and they can be your own standards. If you don't do that at your school, you can make up your own. Okay, and tag them. Tone, intonation, tempo, whatever, and then you can sort by that and see the progress over the course of the year and see where it is that you need to really step in and give them that extra support. So metronome and fingering charts, right? Lots of good stuff. This list is at the bottom of the music tips article that's in our help center that I wrote, that covers a lot of the same things that we did today, minus like hotspot and some of those new things. I'm going to put that in the chat. This is the music teacher article, and it has those embed things at the bottom. It also has examples of music formatives that I think I wrote all of those as well. Yes. So, but please, if you have some really great examples, please share them to our wonderful library of stuff, our lovely public library. That would be super cool, so we can get some more music folks in here. Tell your music colleagues, because I guarantee you they probably have that mindset of, it's not for music. That's for the math people. That's for the science people. Check out all this stuff, right? Now, am I saying that you should have your laptops out in the middle of your band rehearsal while the students are trying to hold their instruments? And no, right? Common sense. This should be done maybe in small groups. Send them off into a practice room if you have one. If you're so blessed to have one or four, right? Some schools have like 7. I had 3 at one school that I was at. That was pretty awesome. If you don't have that, send them to the hallway, if that's okay. If not, then they do it at home, which is great too, because how often do we try to get kids to practice at home? If they have this that they have to do, boom, right? There it is, and you're not wasting your class time assessing their performance. So something to consider. And ways to also have data, and you can assess also reading, because I know in one school where I taught, we had to incorporate reading into every content area, and that was difficult. So you can dump some PDF in here, because if you're not aware, you can bring in materials that you already have, right? Enhance a document, you bring in a PDF that's about Louis Armstrong or whatever, and add some questions on the side. Now you have ELA data if you need to provide that. So lots of things you can do. I'm not seeing any questions, so I hope that we are okay. But this was so fun. So I really appreciate you all being here. I appreciate you if you're watching the recording. Please spread the word to our arts colleagues that this is a fantastic resource for them, and that you have an actual music educator working here at this company. That I don't think that we can say the same about a lot of other ed techs. If I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, right? But understand that we are here to support you, and I'm not the only one with an arts background here. All righty, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Have a great rest of the day.